We have a Christmas cracker for you tonight. Arsenal take on Crystal Palace live on Sky Sports for a place in the last four of the EPL Cup. Well, these sides met at the exact same stage last season. Gabriel Jesus scored a hat-trick in a 5-goal thriller to put Arsenal through, and Mikel Arteta admits he's ready to start after coming back from an ACL injury, and spoke about the impact Jesus has had at the club since joining back in 2022.
He wrote a beautiful letter the day explaining what football means to him and how it affects his life. And I think it was something beautiful. When he joined us, I think he lifted the belief, the spirit and the energy of the club. I think he gave something very different to what we already had, and it was really impressive. And then he had some very bad injuries that hasn't allowed him to have the consistency that we need from a very important player. But he's back. I think his fighting spirit, his desire to always prepare the best way is unbelievable. And the team has got it now, and we need to use it.
Well, as for Crystal Palace, they go into the game off the back of that disappointing 4-1 defeat at Leeds. Oliver Glasner has criticised the EFL for not respecting Palace's position in the Europa League as he prepares for their fourth game in 10 days.
This is the only criticism from me to the EFL. I think to fix a round when a conference league is played is just shows also the respect for the conference league, because they would never fix a round when there is a Champions League round or a Europa League. We want these games, we want this amount of games, we want to win. That means at least 2 more games in the Carabao Cup, and as soon as the players don't tell me that they want to lose because they want to save these 2 games in January and February, we will go to win it.
Arsenal take on Crystal Palace in the one remaining quarter-final. The winners face Chelsea in the last 4. Right, Dara, Arsenal, we know they're fighting on 4 fronts.
Yeah.
At top of the league, which I know you say is the most important.
One front is the only one that matters.
So, because they've got the Premier League, Champions League, League Cup we're talking about, and obviously they enter the FA Cup in a couple of weeks' time. Did you just say that the Premier League is the only one that matters?
Your best 14 players that you're going to play in the majority of those 20-odd Premier League games left.
21 left, isn't there?
Wrap them up in cotton wool and make sure they're available for those league games. All Arsenal fans want, and I'm not speaking for Arsenal fans, is to win the title, is to get that off their back. Because the criticism, and if they don't win, and a chokers, and a this, and it's finally time, and Arteta's got this backing and this squad, they have to win the title. The Champions League's irrelevant, the FA Cup's irrelevant, the League Cup, with all due respect, is irrelevant. Winning the title now is relevant, in my opinion. And if I'm the owner of Arsenal, I'm saying to the manager, I don't care if you play a bunch of 11-year-olds in all the cups. Get me the Premier League title. That's all I want for Christmas.
I wonder what the fans think. Let's get the fan side of things now. Sky Sports have partnered with... Good morning, Scarlett. What do you think about what Dara just said there? Nothing else matters, only the league.
Hi guys. Well, in years gone by, I think that has been our attitude. I think we got knocked out of the Europa League early in 22-23, and everyone was saying, oh, but you know, it's good for the title race, we'll get some rest. And then obviously we didn't win the league, and you're looking back and thinking, why did we write that off? You know, I think the League Cup alone wouldn't make this season a successful season, but we've not won a trophy since 2020. We've got a big squad, injuries permitting, obviously. I want to see us rotate as much as we can within reason. But, you know, many great City teams in years gone by, and I think they are, you know, in the years gone by now, walked the League Cup and went on to win the league. And I think it can be a real generator of momentum. You know, you get that feel-good feeling from walking down Wembley Way, which is a very special thing unless you're a City fan. And you can go on and that can inspire you. So, look, I'm not going to be in mourning if we don't win the League Cup, but I think it can be helpful. And I would like to see that reflected in the way that we play and the players that we select.
Does it play into your mind the fact that if you win, it's still Chelsea, an excellent side in the semi-finals, and if you win that, you've got an excellent side in the final as well? It's not like you've drawn a club who are in a relegation battle in the Premier League who'd be clear favourites for.
It's true. It's obviously not a gimme to play Chelsea, who have sort of now hit the rocks after their very brief title challenge. You know, it would be a London derby, it would be a taxing 2 fixtures. Luckily for us, right now in this moment, we seem to be getting some players back, which is the whole point, right? You can rotate across a number of quality options. Obviously, I think a lot of Arsenal fans reference that Newcastle semi-final last season as being a real moment that physically and emotionally knocked the stuffing out of our title challenge. And I can see that. But equally, I think if you go and you win those games, it's only a one-off game at Wembley, and you play your best team for it. I think you're pragmatic in your selections, which we can be. You're not going to pick every single one of your best players. For example, we're not going to be picking Jurriën Timber, I hope, because he has to play every week at the moment, a million times a week. But, there are plenty of quality options. And I think it's possible to take it seriously without compromising too much of what you need to win the title. Maybe that's wishful thinking.
Scarlett, I guess just my argument is that if you don't win the title this year, and you know the criticism already that's always on Arteta, Arsenal itself, and the accusations, oh, you've choked it up, or this is the season you should win, and the money you've spent and the squad you've put together. From an owner's perspective, if the manager says to me, look, what's important to you? Of course you want to compete and win every trophy you're in, but with everything going on and where we are right now, and Man City kind of in a rebuild phase, Liverpool now suddenly having a down period, we've got to win this title. We've got to give our fans this title. It's now or never, because we've been waiting a few years. And I appreciate you won the FA Cup, it was 5 years ago or whatever it was, and everyone loves the trophy, but it's got to be all in, title or nothing, right?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about this year being a kind of sliding doors moment for Arsenal, as much as I try and resist it. We have an opportunity where City are not where they've been, Liverpool are not where they've been, Chelsea are not quite there yet, at a level that they probably will be in the coming years. Yeah. So that all contributes to a feeling of now or never. Obviously, there are kind of mitigating factors. We've discussed at length injuries, which I hate. But ultimately, if you don't have your players available every game, then you are going to look like a different team. The Chelsea game, the Villa game, Brentford and Wolves, we didn't look like Arsenal. So I think there are lots of factors that can come into play when you're trying to go for these huge trophies. And I'm not sure it's helpful. I'm not sure throwing the League Cup is helpful to a title challenge. I think, there's a kind of middle ground where you say, look, I'm not going to take crazy risks, but I'm going to play high quality players and see what happens. And Palace are in a pretty tough situation as well. They've got unbelievable fixture congestion. So I imagine they'll be trying to prioritise this game, but rotating as well. And I think you just go into it with players who are hungry. I think Kepa will start, who is, top quality Premier League keeper. We've got, Nwaneri, who's barely getting any minutes, who's a very, very talented player. Players who want to prove a point and are hungry, but aren't necessarily playing every week in the league, are totally capable of winning this fixture. And then you take it as it comes.
Darren, would an owner ever say to a manager, I don't care about this competition, at any level, I don't care about this competition, I care about the other competition? Yeah. And trying to get involved in that way, and what would you do if the manager then goes against you?
Well, we had an example a couple of weeks ago. We've obviously been fortunate to win the EPL trophy, which is our FA Cup in the lower leagues. We've won it 2 years in a row. And we were in the knockout stages a couple of weeks ago against Swindon, and we were playing in the FA Cup on a Saturday. So we had like a Tuesday EPL trophy, Saturday was FA Cup, and then we had 2 league games coming up. And obviously we're not having a great season, so we're down there, we're struggling. And my manager kind of let me know, well, look, I'm going to rest our 2 strikers in the FA Cup game. And I'm thinking, well, I need the money from the FA Cup. And as it turned out, Barnsley who beat us got Liverpool away, which would have been my dream tie. But I said to my manager, look, I hear you, I get you, and as long as you win the 2 league games that precede by resting players, and no problem. Of course we want to win those cup games, but I knew we were a little bit weakened, and as it turned out, it's led to us winning 3 league games in a row. Making those changes in those cup games, and we got dumped out of both cups. But our priority is getting up the league this season. I love winning that trophy, but where we started the season, priority was league and nothing.
Okay, and Scarlett, in terms of the league now, for you, it is just 2 points now between Arsenal and Manchester City. But I've got which I know you won't see as great news, but here's one for you. That 3 away fixtures that you've got left to play, only 3 of your away fixtures left are against the current top half. Now, playing away from home tends to be more difficult than playing at home. Does that give you reasons to be cheerful that only 3 of them are against teams who are currently in the top half?
Yeah, and I think we've had a tough start. We had a very tough first run of fixtures, And then we kind of had a downhill run that ended with the trip to Sunderland in the Stadium of Light, and then that kind of insane week where we had the North London derby and Chelsea. And we've ticked off, I mean, by hook or by crook, a lot of really tough places to go.
Yeah.
We've been to Villa Park, we've been to St James's Park. To be fair, City have played there too already, but none of those are places that you want to go in a title run-in. And I think title run-ins, in my experience, and I've only been on the wrong end of them, are about momentum. And you can generate momentum by playing at home and winning games, and you can generate momentum by just stringing results together. And sometimes that's not possible, you know, like sometimes I think at the time we were all happy to come away from Stamford Bridge with a draw. So
you've got, because it's standing out on yours there, Tottenham, because it's a derby, despite their home form, it's a derby at their place. And then you've got Manchester City, obviously that is absolutely massive. The rest of them, yes, they are all difficult, I know that. But when you look at that, they're the only two that stand out. Whereas if you look at the other side, behind Pep Guardiola there, you've got Manchester United, you've got Chelsea there, you've got Liverpool there, you've got Tottenham there. That, you know, that will give them more fear than you.
Yeah, and a trip to the Stadium of Light too, which none of us should overlook at the moment. Yeah, totally. And I think City have not displayed a huge amount of consistency in this first part of the season. You know, I don't think they lost at home to Spurs, lest we forget. So whether they can reach the level that they have done in the past years, in the past, and go and just absolutely smash through those games is another question. I think it will be kind of irrelevant who the opposition is if they click into that gear.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm not holding my breath. I'm trying to stay calm as an Arsenal fan. I think we have got out of the way a lot of really awkward fixtures. And if you win multiple games on the bounce, people stop asking questions about you. And obviously there have been circumstances around the past few results that have been incredibly frustrating as an Arsenal fan. But having our players back and playing our best football, regardless of opposition, I think is the most important thing. And I think we will see that consistency continue in the second half of the season.
Just a final word on Declan Rice, because Wayne Rooney expects him to be the next England captain, but he's not actually Arsenal captain. What do you think about him being your captain ahead of Martin Odegaard?
Yeah, I don't know what Dara thinks about this, but I don't know why you would take the captaincy off a player who is perfectly capable of being the captain. I think Declan Rice doesn't need to wear the armband to act like a captain.
He's captain anyway.
Kane was England captain when Hugo Lloris was Tottenham captain, so I guess it's...
Usually you've got multiple captains at the club. You know, it's not just one. You can have a captain that leads by how they play. You have a captain who's just a leader in the dressing room. And Declan Rice looks like that type of... I would imagine a lot of the players would probably think he's the captain of Arsenal anyway. Like, with all due respect to Martin Odegaard, I think you look at the way Rice handles himself on and off the pitch, he is kind of like captain personified. So, and I don't think he needs it. You know, Rooney talked about England and whatever else. I think Harry Kane will probably play at least 40. So good luck to Declan trying to get the England captaincy.
Yes, I think none of it matters if Arsenal are successful, basically, and people will continue to ask questions if we're not. But I think Odegaard is a perfectly fine captain. Yeah. He's seen us consistently through a period where, you know, we've come from humble beginnings. And, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, but our captains prior to that have had a bit of a spotty history. I mean, Xhaka was our captain for a while, putting his middle finger up at the fans, much as I now love him. Yeah. And, you know, before that, we had people like Thomas Vermaelen, who was never available. So, yeah, basically, I think Rice, captain in all but name, essentially, but nothing with Odegaard. And I don't know why you take it off him, given the disruption that caused.
OK, fair enough. Scarlett, great to see you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.